The slim margin between being 2-0 and 0-2, the Chicago Bears are the personification of it, clearly. If DeAndre Swift clutches that ball at the end of week one, or Daniel Jones gets a defensive pass interference instead of an offensive pass interference, or finds someone in the end zone, the Bears could be 0-2. And with Cam performing the way that he would be looking at so far for New England, I think would create a huge you-know-what storm based on the conversation I had with you back in the spring, where I thought Cam would be perfect for Chicago. I understand that might wipe out the whole Trubisky experiment, that they still are putting all of their eggs into that basket. But wouldn't Cam be perfect in Chicago right now? That would be a much better 2-0, I think, if that Cam showed up in Chicago. Don't you think, Kyle?
Yeah. I do. I do, Rich. And Trubisky's been pretty good. I mean, he's been good, Mitch. They say that Maserati Mitch is when he's got it going well, but I have discovered the alias I call Miata Mitch, which is a wildly different Mitch and doesn't work as well. But we've had mostly Maserati, and yet Cam is still just a completely different piece of horsepower. And I will never really know until years from now maybe what exactly the Bears did in the offseason and who they did or did not pursue. We know there were whisperings that Nagy's quickly shuttled about that they were interested in Brady, and they tried to get Brady. It could be the exact same thing for Cam, and it didn't work out. I don't know. But you asked me a couple questions ago, what's been the biggest story of the NFL, and we talked about the teams at the top and the bottom. Cam has looked awesome.
No doubt.
And I just awesome. And week one is fine. You had a running game plan against the Dolphins, and he looked like he was pretty strong and healthy, and that was great. It was being down 2 scores to Russell Wilson in the second half and just chucking it to Julian Edelman for 170 yards, and N'Keal Harry coming out of the clouds out of nowhere. And he's basically doing it with the same guys Brady wasn't doing it with last year. So Cam is very scary. I'm annoyed by it if I'm a Bears fan, and I got to say, as good as they look, I'm a little scared by it as a Bills fan too.
You know what, man? If New England gets off the mat in the manner in which we're seeing them, and by off the mat, I mean they looked like that they were going to go into their post-Tom Brady world with Jarrett Stidham at quarterback, and instead the 2015 Cam shows up in 2020 in New England, then any other team that had a shot at Cam and just let him sit at home until Belichick could ring the phone up has nobody but themselves to blame, especially if Belichick, when he dialed up Cam Newton, looked like he did on today's Zoom. Did that piece of gloriousness occur during the window of Good Morning Football, or is that something you're going to hit tomorrow?
No, it didn't. But it's a piece of gloriousness, a threadbare piece. Bill Belichick. His clothes, we've been talking about for 25 years. But today's look, even by his standards, normally it looks like he dresses out of the hamper. Today he was dressed like a hostage chic, I call it. It was that person wearing that shirt is holding up today's newspaper and saying they're treating us okay and giving us plenty of food. And you have to respect. A lot of people claim they don't care what people think of them. They don't care what they're. That is not caring. That is a 0 out of a trillion level of caring what you look like. Good Lord. What that thing, I think it said established in 1920, and it's referring to the Patriots. I think it's referring to the garment itself.
Hey, that's the line I used earlier. That's why we're 2 peas in the pod. It looks like Flintstone Bill is really what it looks like to me. It really is like Bill, I think, got to the Zoom by using his feet under the floor of the car to get there, is what it looked like to me. But it also, as we discussed it earlier, that this is the goal in life, is to have such a good job and be so damn good at it that you could show up to work like that and nobody will say a word to you. Nobody.
It's true.
Nobody.
Our mutual friend Paul Rudd once, I asked him recently, I said, why aren't you on Twitter? Everybody's on Twitter. Every one of your Avengers co-stars is on there. Every other movie star. You're not on there? And he goes, listen, man, at this point in life, just tell me where to stand. That's all just tell me where to stand. I just want to do the job and go home. I'm not, just tell me where to stand. I think Belichick is at that, just tell me where to stand and look. And I aspire to get there one day.
Me too. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.